Hey buddies, welcome to AmassGames. My name is Simon. This is how to set up, play, and review the Pocket Campaign game by Surprise Dare Games, the Ming Voyages. This is the second in their trilogy at time of recording. I have filmed the Cousins War, the first one in the series already. Check out the video for that. And I will be showing you how to play the third one. But this is the highest rated so far. I haven't obviously played the third one yet. There will be an unboxing, teaser, trailer, preview over video. Talk to you about that. I did mention in the unboxing video for this video that this did get sleeved, in this case by Swan Sleeves. Check out my sleeving playlist. And here are the various cards that we're going to be playing with. There are 27 cards. It's an asymmetric game. It's for 1 to 2 players. I'll be teaching you the 2-player rules, but I do have a solo playlist as well, so please check out that. And this red cube is only for the solo play, so that can go away. So this is based on the historic voyages by the Chinese in the, I think it was maybe the 13th century, I'll double check when that was. But the fact is they did go out and do 7 different voyages and the barbarians were looking to invade. So it's a kind of a tower defense feel to the game as well. In fact, it was a 15th century, so 1403 to about 1433. So this is from UKG 2023. Check out my videos for that too. My various playlists. This has been talked about in the whole video too. So I'm going to show you as playing as the Mings. However, you can also see how as I will be playing as the barbarians. This is a 2-player game, so check out my 2-player playlist as well. It might also go in my solo playlist or my other playthrough playlist as well. So you have these are called junk. These are kind of ships that can be quite confusing. They are screen printed due to the Kickstarter. In fact, I'll place them sideways just to show them like that. You're going to roll a die, and in this case I rolled a 5. I can roll again, but anyway, I rolled a 5 first off. India, so you could place it obviously how you wish, but the whole point is the Mings are trying to control all of these 7 regions to win outright, and immediately the game will end in over 2 eras, which is basically when we get to this deck of cards twice. However, the Mongols, they will win if they happen to control all of these 5 borderlands. And that's it. If they don't happen to do that by the end of the game, which is the end of the 2nd era, what's going to happen is you're going to count up and see how much you've got. So I've got 2. Let's say I've got some over here. But the way the Mongols will score is for each one I do not have as the Mings, then they'll score points. They've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points. So they do start off, you might say, weakest at the moment, based on how this has been set up. So you've got these various cubes. You're going to place on each of these homelands. So currently, or the borderlands, sorry, is where it is being controlled by the Mings. Also, the Mings will have 1 gold. I'll talk to you about what that means in a moment. Whereas these barbarians happen to be over here. So barbarians, aka the Mongols. You've got settlements as well, which I'll come on to talk to you about a bit later on. Basically, they're going to be used to help defence and enable you to not lose as many cubes. So these cubes do represent troops. Let's talk about the rest of what we're going on with now. So what we're going to be doing is handing out some cards. So 3 cards to the Mings, 4 cards to the barbarians. The barbarians will never draw cards, which is the most fascinating part of this game. And now what we're going to be doing is the first off that you're doing is drawing 2 cards for the Mings. Mings will always draw cards. So now I've got 5 cards. I can play any of these cards. What I do not play will be passed over to the barbarians. So in this case, I can play a card like this, which means the barbarians will take an action in case there's no action in this case. And then I can trigger my ability, which is make a voyage with 1 roll, deducting 1 from the result. And I'll talk to you about how that works in a second. However, I do not currently go to East Africa, so I cannot take the ability here. Instead, I can do an advancement point, a command point. I'll talk to you about what that means. This one's similar, there's no action. This one here is in green, so basically as the Mings playing as green, I do both actions. I'm currently in 1 to 3 locations, so in this case I can lose 1 gold from the homeland. Obviously that's a barbarian action here. If I'm stronger, I'll be losing 2 gold. I'll tell you why gold's important. Over here we have rumour, so in this case I can, if I'm in Ceylon, I can do this one, move up to 3 hordes from a borderland into a single adjacent space. Again, that's good because I'm trying to control these, or basically stop them from controlling them. They can move up to 2 troops from a borderland into a single adjacent Ming controlled borderland. Currently they haven't got any out. So looking through these cards, I generally go with cards that can give them the least abilities. I'm not in any of these locations. I do not have an India card here, so that doesn't really help me. So instead of what I can do is I can take a card and place it face down as a reserved card. That's useful for rerolls. So let's just say that's my turn finished. They're taking these cards. I take these cards here. Sorry, they would have played a card, and then these will go across. They can have them ready to pick up next turn. They've got this, so currently they've got no action, no action. They won't look at them. I'm not in these locations, so these won't trigger for the Mings. I can look at the top 5 cards of the discard pile. There isn't a discard pile at the minute. In fact, because I played a reserve card, I can take up 2 settlement markers from the supply and place into any single barbarian homeland. Fine, I'll just do this because I'm not in the Persian Gulf. So here we go, up to 2 from the supply. I'll place them out here. I'll tell you why I might want to in a minute. So these then go across. So these 4 cards are there. I have placed out whichever card it was. So that's now in the discard pile. We can place it off to the side. And now this is obviously moved across back to the Mings. The Mings draw 2 cards. And I get to go again. As you can see, I'm currently in India, which is quite good. Choose a barbarian controlled board land. Okay, they're not there anyway, so it doesn't do anything. Roll 3 dice. If any roll is higher than the number of hordes, they lose half rounded up back to the supply. I might hold on to that card, maybe not. What I could choose to do instead is, as I'm not in these other locations, maybe just play some command points. So let me show you how command points work. This has got 1 on it. I could choose to do 2 or 3 or something. And basically it lets you take a standard action and do it as many times as the number on it, but you can't do different kinds of actions. So you could recruit. Now there isn't a player rate in this game, but you can get it online. In this case, you can take a troop, and for each command point, so I've got 1, you can place it in a Ming-controlled homeland. So I can place it here. That's something I can do. That's recruiting troops. I could move. You can select one region, so these are regions with troops in it, and move them from that region equal to the amount of command points that you're spending, either the Ming Empire home region or one adjacent board land. So I could do something like this, but I don't see I would because I'm currently controlling all of them. I could attack, so I could choose a barbarian controlled board land adjacent to at least one region. There isn't one. In that instance, what I can be doing is spending any number of those adjacent regions, fighting a battle until only one player has been forced into to basically taking over that region. I'll tell you how that works in a second. I can do attacks, so I can take 1 gold, come on to next why gold is important, and bring that out for each command point. Again, if I had 2 command points, I couldn't do this and this, but I could keep bringing out more gold. I can build junks, so this brings more of these out into the South China Sea. You'll need at least 7, of course, to win. Or, of course, if you get down to a tie, in a tie that will favour the barbarians. And lastly, voyage. You can choose to sail out, use that command point. So imagine this is the situation currently. I choose to sail out to Sumatra. I can bring all of my junks with me, so I've got 2 with me. I must bring at least 1 gold. The way it's going to work is I'm going to roll a die, and it must be lower than this value. So in this case, I must get lower than 3 to be successful. So let's talk about that again, voyaging. So you're setting sail on a voyage, you take at least 1 junk with you and at least 1 gold. You're going to choose a voyage that's not yet been completed, as you can see, i.e. it doesn't have a junk on it. And you're going to place any number of junks and gold there, so you're committing that. And then what you're going to be doing is, for each command point, you have 1 attempt to complete that voyage. So kind of got 1 attempt to do this. And what you're going to be doing is rolling that die, as I mentioned. To succeed, you must roll lower than the total amount of gold and junk. So let's say I rolled my first attempt, I was successful, okay? In this case, this is spent, it goes back to supply, and that goes back here, and that's successful. The reason for bringing in more gold is, of course, you can then hit on a 3 in that case, because I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. However much gold you are sending in, if you are successful, you are losing everything else, including the gold that you just spent. Whereas it doesn't matter how many junks you have, they can keep going back. So you might want to keep bringing out loads of junk, as an example, but you will need at least 1 gold as well. Funnily enough, some of these cards have things such as, obviously, lose gold, etc. So that's the last thing to kind of talk about is how do borderland battles happen. So imagine this comes in here. Again, a command point can bring in loads of these things into one location. So you could spend 3 command points to bring them in here. Maybe you can't dodge them around. You can bring them in to one location and fight. So let's say we're doing this. It happens to be, let's bring an extra one in there too. So now we're doing the barbarians are fighting first. And this is similar to Cousins War. You're trying to get triples or doubles. So in this case, it wasn't very good. It's the highest value is going to work, which is a 5. I happen to roll identical values. So in this case, nothing will happen, but we're going to go again. But this time, it's me as the defender who starts, which is not necessarily as good. So I have got a 6 this time, so it's a slightly better value. And in this case, it's another 6, but imagine it wasn't. Imagine I happen to get double 6 in comparison. I will lose 1. So I'll lose 2 because I happen to get doubles. So both of those would go away because 2 means you lose 2. That's how that's going to work. However, imagine I started or didn't start. You usually want to play this as the defender, i.e. going second. I can reveal this card. In this case, I get an additional roll because 1 represents an additional roll. So I can choose to do that. Again, either side can do that ability. The addition with the barbarians is you can flip a card over to get more command points. For example, bring out more troops. And now suddenly, as soon as somebody is down to 1, and let's say 1, they keep fighting until there's only 1 left, in which case, let's say it's this. Well, now currently, the barbarians have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points, but of course the game has not ended, the deck has not run out, and it will always be the Ming's player turn to go last whenever you happen to finish off an era. At the end of the second era, there'll be no more cards to draw, because the second era, that's how it's going to work, and you're going to play out the final few cards that you have left. And like I said, you are looking to see who's got the most points. In the last 2 games I played, it happened to be the Barbarians who just about managed to win. I was very close, I was one off doing this, but they managed to just about win, although that was just because I hadn't looked into more details as to how to do things better. By the way, the artwork is by Clemens France. Check out my Clemens France playlist as well, because I do very much like the artist, so you can see more of that over on that playlist too. Of course, this is in there, Cousins War's in there too. And my rating, so the average rating online is 7, and my rating for any game over 2,600 time recording is 6.4. I give this at least a 7.5. I think it's very interesting asymmetry, of course, different win conditions. You're thinking what to play on the cards. Only 27 cards, but in this case, I don't want to be playing this card out, because whatever I do, I'm losing gold. So instead, you might want to keep it back for other reasons. At the end of an era, you will lose any reserve cards as well, so please be aware of that. So you want to make sure you play them out, because it's encouraging you to try and play out cards. And that pretty much covers everything off. For any errata, check out the description in YouTube, because please do comment in YouTube is best, as this does get shared. Head through to the podcast, you can listen to that. So just Google AmassGames podcast, however you wish to search on your various platforms to listen to more about this and other games, as well as heading through to various other locations such as Instagram, so check over there, TikTok, X, and of course join the discussion over on Facebook. This might well get played at a Hexacon future event as well. So that's pretty much the game. Like I said, it's been very enjoyable. It goes to the second in the series. I do prefer it over the Cousins War, and I look forward to trying out the third one in the trilogy, now a tetralogy at time of recording, like I said, and that is March of Progress, and I know Sancho is the next one that comes up. So that's it. That has been The Ming Voyages by David J. Mortimer and Alan Paul. For now, back to the table.